their insights into practicing inclusion in schools to ensure acceptance, empathy, and participation of every child. We would like to start with you, Dr. Himanshu. We would like you to briefly share your insight on inclusive education in the current times and what are the barriers or challenges to inclusion, especially in the current scenario. Insight on Himanshu.
Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Wonderful morning to everyone. Nice initiative. I hope this goes a very, very long way in promoting empowerment of persons with special need and service inclusive education. Inclusive community.
2 बजे तक बैठो यार.
कितने बजे तक है?
2.
लिखा हुआ है?
3 and 2 बजे तक.
Sorry, I think there was some issues. I hope I am audible.
9:30, 8:30.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
8:45.
Current scenario is slightly different. Whatever it is, the goals, the barriers, the systemic challenges that we have, by and large, are going to be modality of teaching, modality of learning might differ from time to time. However, we foresee primary goals, primary challenges remain. My take on it is, as a country, we need to introspect on such things. Every school is trying to project best of the students. Every class is trying to project the best of the students. Every teacher wants to project the best student. Every family, every community wants to project the best. As a country, we want to celebrate the best in every aspect. When you talk about best in everything all the time, where the problem begins. As a country, as a community, as a family, are we ready to truly embrace everyone? That case, definitely celebration of best for a community, best for a country is not the core value system. Look at the Indian ethos. Why we used to see God in everything? Why used to see God in every being, every living and every non-living being? Because we never focused on survival of the fittest. We never focused on fight for win. We never focused on best of the best. We never focused on competition. Focused on everything. Now, life goals as a country, as students, we have set life goals which are not very conducive enough to build an inclusive society. When life goals are based on competitions, when we lack true empathy towards disadvantaged groups, when we ourselves as human beings, we do not have true resilience, that's very, very evident with the incidence prevalence of mental illness. It has grown almost 5 to 10 times in different segments in past decades time alone. And we are depending upon our community goals. These are the few systemic barriers, challenges, which I think are the core of not achieving the true goals that a country should be achieving. If you take examples of many, many countries, for example, very neighboring countries, Bhutan, in the segment of elementary education and the segment of quality of life, the segment of happiness index, it is the top 5 of the whole world, despite one of the poorest nations in the world, and it's very close to us. My village is just next door to Bhutan. I'm from Assam. So I have understood the difference in the Indian ethos currently not the traditional ethos that we have, and ethos of Bhutan present. That's where I see the problem. Thank you so much. Maybe we can come back again.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for that insight. Yeah, rightly said. We need to truly embrace everyone. A change in attitude is required. And we need to determine life goals. Each individual needs to determine the life goals for a better sustainability. On this note, we would request Dr. Astha, Miss Astha, to share her views. Miss Astha, we would like to know in these COVID times, what has been the psychological impact of such a situation on children, on parents, and on teachers? Miss Astha?
Yeah, I hope I'm audible. Everybody is able to hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a huge impact on all our lives. This whole situation, current situation that has laid on us, because I feel that personal touch is missing, even though we are trying our level best to engage our students online, virtually, not let them feel dejected. But yet again, I feel, sitting at home, the whole routine definitely have got impacted. Children used to get up early in the morning, get ready, feel excited to go to school, to see their friends in person, to meet their teachers, and now all that is not happening. So, and definitely physical energies of young people, I mean, they are so energetic in a closed enclosed environment, sitting at one place or attending classes, whereas in school they used to move around, they used to have breaks and meet each other from different classrooms, moving around in corridors, doing physical activities, taking physical education. All that do contribute to the mental health of everyone. And since that is not happening now, mental health definitely is getting highly affected, and we all need to make efforts to not let that happen and keep the positivity alive with our positive sharing of thoughts, positive communication with children at home, and while we are interacting we are in an interface even virtually. I think we must talk about mental health. We must talk about mental health with all the children, with parents. We must discuss challenges they are facing at personal end. I think then only we can bridge that gap of not being in person in conversation with them. We have to keep that conversation alive, to not let that impact us negatively, even though it is very much impacting all of us negatively. We have to make efforts. I can conclude it by saying that we have to keep that conversation alive, that positivity alive. We need to instill that positivity in children, that take the best out of this opportunity we all are in. This situation, take it as an opportunity and don't let go of your positive self.
Thank you, Ms. Astha, for this wonderful insight. Right, I think these unprecedented times have thrown us onto specific routines, which has really taken a big toll on our children. And yes, we do need to instill a lot of positivity in them. We need to have an open conversation with them and tell them, yes, this is a time of crisis which is not going to stay forever. The times will change. We'll be back to a normal life. Great. Thank you, ma'am. We move to Ms. Shubha Chandrasekhar. Ma'am, we would like to know what has been the impact of such a situation on children with special needs. What are the challenges that they are facing, and do we see any opportunities for them in the current time? Shubha, ma'am, please. Ma'am, you are muted.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Jyoti. Just like the other individuals, children with special needs, individual with special needs have all been affected by this challenging period of the pandemic. When it comes to education, the online classes have been a huge challenge for most of the children with special needs from different categories, because many times their learning happens through a lot of cues from the physical environment. In the absence of those cues and in the absence of the in touch with the special educator or the general educator, children have been struggling, especially for children with autism or severely impacted children. Having devices is yet another problem that we have seen. Most of them do not have access to devices, and this could also be a problem, and we have read about it. On the other hand, some of the children with specific learning disabilities, or the ones who have been introduced to technology earlier, have had a good experience, because since the mode of teaching has switched on to the audio visual part, they have been able to gain from these online teaching. They have shown some interest in understanding the curriculum. Teachers too have realized that the audiovisual mode is something that can be beneficial to all learners, and even during the assessment, with specific reference to our school, I would say some of the assessments which were more objective was a boon to children with special needs. Sometimes they are not able to participate or perform in the subjective assessments, the objective assessments, and the alternative forms of assessments, they have been able to perform optimally. But on the whole, the pandemic has not been kind to people with special needs. It has been extremely challenging for them, and I don't think that we have specifically thought about how they can be impacted. That is one area that all educators, special educators, people working for individuals with special needs should focus upon.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that insight. Yes, the times are challenging, and I think this group of children is really facing the challenge. But good to know the positive side of it also. Yes, it has definitely empowered the children, taken them into a technological world, and I think yes, we believe the AV aids are actually proving to be a boon for children who really have difficulty with reading and writing. Taking this discussion forward, we would like to hear from a parent, her perspective as a working parent dealing with a child who had some special abilities. Mrs. Sonal, we would like to hear your take on the inclusive education, and how are you coping up in the current time when the teaching has gone online. Mrs. Sahani, please.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to introduce myself as Kushagra's mother. My son is doing well now, but ma'am, I won't say the journey was very easy for me. Initially, it was very difficult. Accepting your child the way he is. He was facing problems with his handwriting issues, and some maths problems were going on. So, with the help of the school, I got it assessed. And with that time, I'm now able to, accept my child as he is. So, during the pandemic times, yeah, it is really difficult to manage the household work along with the studies. I'm a working mother also. So it becomes difficult at times to manage and strike a balance between both. But now we are managing. I'm trying to spend some value time with him. We are talking to each other. We are getting close to each other. We are finding a new bond. I think I have developed a new bond with my son now during this pandemic time, because I'm getting more time with him. Since morning till the night, I'm with him. So we have formed a new bond. I'm able to focus on his areas where he needs my help, and I'm able to help him in those. So rather than on focusing on the weaknesses, I am concentrating on his strengths. So I think somehow pandemic has proved to be a boon to us. And with the online classes, he is able to get the audiovisual material, which is also helping him a lot. And afterwards, I am also paying attention to him. So I think it's going on fine. Yeah, but he misses the school. That is there. The ma'am, whatever ma'am used to do, that we cannot take place. That cannot be done by a mother. Ma'am used to do the other things in which we cannot do at home. Still, we are trying to find positive in pandemic. Thank you. That is what I would like to say.
Thank you, ma'am, for that insight. Really glad to hear the positive side of this crisis that you have opened up to us. Right, COVID-19 is a global crisis, but as you say, all is, or not all is doom and gloom. So, our assumption is that there will be multiple COVID waves, of which probably this is the first. So, whatever we put in place for the medium for long term or short term should support our goal to provide safe, equitable access to quality, to education in the context of multiple COVID waves. So, that thinking should start today and it should influence our choices. Let's take our discussion forward. I would request Atish, to a student with us. He's going to introduce himself and he's going to talk about his journey. How has it been being in an inclusive school, and what challenges Atish is facing now, if any? Atish?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Atish. I study in DPS Rohini. I'm in 11th class and I have humanities. And yeah, so some issues that I had, kind of, makes it a little bit more difficult for me to copy certain things, and which causes problems in mathematics. So I left mathematics in the middle of 10th, and our school is very flexible with that, and also being in an inclusive school, I noticed that children who are slightly different from others, who have certain challenges, they are totally included into the normal classes, and the children have been studying with such children for a very long time. So they have also become very used to, and it is something which is very normal for them to be interacting with, and in their daily life it is a very normal part of their daily school life to be interacting with children who have special needs. So I think in this school, it is a very good thing that children who have special needs, because I also get some extra time in exams because of my special needs. So uh, I go to a different room to give exams, but that is something which is very that the fact that I'm going to a different room to give an exam and with many other children, so that fact it is something which the children have accepted in a very positive manner. It is nothing that anybody is ashamed of or any stigma attached to it. So yes, so I am very happy studying in a school which is inclusive, and because my problem is much smaller than many other children who have special needs, so I also get to interact with children who have other children who have special needs, which is a very enriching experience for all the children, and it has proven benefits for both the children with special needs and children who don't have special needs, because it increases the positive outlook on things on all the children. So I'm very happy to be studying in a school which is inclusive. And when it comes to online classes, switching to the online mode for teaching, many children all over the world who have special needs are facing many difficulties, because while the world took to online means, they somehow neglected children with special needs, because even the Doordarshan, even the government online teaching methods, they also didn't have provisions for children with special needs, although most children with special needs either go to special schools or to government schools. So but our school actually has extra classes for children with special needs, and it is doing everything they can to help children with special needs. And I myself had faced some issues due to switching to online means of learning, but I think we should look at the positive sides as well, that that it is going to be over sooner now than ever before. So yes, so that is all I'd like to say.
Thank you, Atish. You rightly said inclusion helps to make differences less different. And when we speak of inclusion, another point of essence is the fact that you cannot be included until you are present. and you cannot be present unless you're able to get there. So ensuring a barrier-free built environment in schools is as important as providing for barrier-free transportation and roads to enable all children with disabilities to come to school and to be a part of the regular school setting, and also further providing access to the use of information and communication technology. Last and most important is to remove the attitudinal barriers from they can't to they can. On this note, I would like to invite S. Gayatri, our student from class 11, to share her views on inclusive education. Being a regular student in an inclusive school, what has your journey been so far? How would you like to talk about your experience of being around children with special needs? Gayatri?
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. So, studying in an inclusive school like DPS Rohini has been a great experience for me because it has taught me that inclusivity is not just something that is required for special needs children, but it also teaches all the other children that we have to um, live with all the children equally and do not discriminate between them. The process of inclusion should not just be limited to the government, the faculty, or the special educators. It is equally the responsibility of the other students, students like me. So, my personal experience with special needs children has been great because I have learned a lot from them, and I don't think I would have learned all those things on my own. So, the most important thing that I learned from them was that we all have a special need. Like, be it temporary, be it permanent, simple or complicated, we all do. But we should not think of that as a hindrance to achieving our goals, but rather use it to rise up. And this was a really important lesson for me. And because we know that we can't change the past, neither we can change the current circumstances we're in, but we can surely use those experiences to build a better future, not just for us, but for all the people around us. So I believe that we should act as individuals and not just impose it on others that it is your job, it is your job. No, it is everyone's job equally to ensure that we build a society that does not discriminate anyone on their physical or biological build, and not and ensure that there is no discrimination among anyone. We should recognize a person for their talents, for what they do, rather than how they behave or how they look like. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri. Rightly said, inclusion is about how we structure our schools, our classrooms, our lessons so that all our students with different learning needs, they learn, they participate together. So an inclusive classroom is one that creates a supportive environment for all the learners, including those with learning differences, and also challenge and engage gifted and talented learners by building a more responsive learning environment. Moving to Dr. Himanshu, we would like to, like we're talking about the child focused pedagogy. So, here we would like to understand your view on how to employ effective child focused pedagogies and how to develop good support structures at individual level, at school level, and at state or national level.
Very important and very crucial. However, it's very difficult when you talk of implementation of the whole gamut of covering different dimensions of special need in terms of its total diversity and vis-a-vis the severity. Uh, First of all, the problem is with the human resource development system that we are talking about. Online, offline, or whatever it is, the human resource aspects needs to be redone, which Government of India is definitely trying to do in couple of years now. because till date we see the whole country is actually dependent on special education teacher. We don't call our regular education teacher yet as inclusive teacher. The second part is when you talk of the curriculum also, the new education policy has definitely brought in all these aspects, but right now the curriculum is also not conducive enough for children with special needs. Now, third part, very, very important, when you talk of the whole gamut of kind of schools that we have in our country, we have schools with least possible resources that people of Delhi may not be able to even comprehend. And the places where I come from, for example, and the place where my say daughter is going to a school in Delhi, that's a IB board school. So it's very difficult to how do you actually explain this whole context to people, that every context, every possibility, every resource modality is important, and nevertheless, wherever you are, whatever is the situation of your school, the moment we understand that able-bodied children have got to learn a huge different dimensions to their life, being with special needs children, that is going to actually change the whole perspective of looking at the things, and rest of the things may follow. I was having a conversation with my colleagues, disabled colleagues, my sort of very senior teachers and friends who are having special need. The straight question they had been asking everyone, what had you really gained from being with us? It was very difficult for me to answer. Due course of time, you understand the core values of, say, accepting defeat and failure, accepting what we have, accepting a loss, time management skills, the team building skills, because in team building you need to know the advantages of each other, the disadvantages of each other, the resilience qualities that you need in people, the EQ aspect, which we are talking about now to be far important than the IQ aspects, the social quotient aspect now we are respecting as far higher than the IQ aspects, the flexibility quotient that you required. All these things are going to be actually promoting the teachers and the able-bodied peer, which are our primary stakeholder to success of inclusive education system. So we are expecting gradual changes in the curriculum, which we strongly feel the curriculum is not suitable. We are expecting host of changes in the infrastructure and the delivery and the instructional mechanism, differentiated instruction. We have miles to go, but to begin with, these are the key things which I think I strongly would like to focus on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Himanshu. Yes, right. We still have challenges ahead of us to smoothen out our journey to have a better, wholesome, inclusive society. Taking this discussion forward, Shubha ma'am, we would like to have your take on the curriculum modification that are required for children with special needs, especially when the learning has gone online and in a virtual classroom, how to cater to the different individual needs of such learners.
Yeah.
Teachers.
Now, I would like to focus on that part of your question which talks about the adaptations to the curriculum. Definitely, we need to take in the individual aspects when we are talking about a student-centered curriculum. But sometimes it is a little difficult to inculcate every single individual's need. So some of our guidelines which have been given by the Central Board of Secondary Education, state boards, they are the basis for whatever curricular adaptations that we are bringing in the schools. All these guidelines which have come in by in the past 20 years have been a big boon for children with special needs to study in inclusive schools. At the same time, we just do not depend on the policy makers or wait for them to, make the policies. Each and every school can definitely make their own curriculum flexible, approachable. As Dr. Das mentioned, differentiated instructions, UDL, these are some of the latest approaches. I strongly believe that the Indian system of education has always been flexible. If whatever little I know, I think even if we dig into our Vedic age curriculum, there is mention of teachers how they should teach people, students who are highly capable, who are moderately capable, and who are facing challenges. There are Sanskrit terms which are there. Probably we are not yet learned enough to understand that. Somewhere along the line, we started trying to fit everybody into a very rigid and fixed curriculum. That is one thing that we should do away with, online or offline classes. Diversity is not new to India. Whether we take languages, culture, every classroom is diverse and every teacher in her own way is empowered. It just needs an attitudinal change and some guidelines, some teaching strategies based on research, evidence based methodology. And my take on this is try and inculcate a small change one at a time. Try and bring in a different adaptation to the curriculum for a period of 2 to 3 months in one subject or for one particular category of disability. Work out on it, implement it, evaluate it, assess it. See how good or bad it is. Then bring in the next change. And at the same time, collaboration between general education teachers and special education teachers so that all become inclusive teachers is the key word here to move forward. General education teachers already have a lot on their platter, whether they are from public school, government school, private school. They are expected to do more and more and more. And if we do not empower them, if we do not collaborate, hold hands together, then it is going to become stressful for everybody. So, curriculum adaptation along the lines of evidence based strategies, methodologies, small incremental changes, regular evaluation, and overall the flexibility to move forward when it comes from policymakers, school leaders, principals, supervisors, coordinators. Definitely, every child can find a place in every school. My dream is that one day in India, any child with any kind of ability walks into any school and he is welcomed with open arms.
Thank you, Shubha ma'am. And I really believe this dream of yours and ours comes true sooner than ever. And you rightly said, we should not wait for additional resources. We should be a creative resource finder. Only then can we expect a better collaboration and an inclusive environment around us. Taking this discussion forward, Astha ma'am, we would like to understand as a counselor your take on how to stay motivated. Our children are kind of stuck at home, and the laptop or the device is their only connection to the world, wherein they're losing that peer-to-peer interaction also. And we've been hearing from a lot of parents talking about children being not motivated enough to join the online classes. So, how to stay motivated and how to cope up with this unprecedented situation, Astha ma'am?
Yeah, I think this is a very important question, and we all need to think upon because that is the need of the hour. Even I, as a counselor, I've been coming across so many children who say that the motivation is not there when we, because we are not meeting our teachers in person. As I said earlier, also we are not able to see our friends in person. So, just sitting in front of the screen doesn't give us that enough space also, I would say, to express ourselves. Yeah, so I feel to stay motivated, it is very important. At the same time, like Dr. Himanshu Das also mentioned about team building, resilience, and the socio emotional quotient that we all need to collaborate and work on to emphasize these skills and impart these skills to all the students while we are coming in that interface virtually. I think along with the academic modifications or imparting academic teaching, most important would be also for teachers to lay down what factors can cater to the socio emotional needs of students. to help them stay motivated. So not let them swayed off when they are teaching them virtually. Yeah, because that emotional touch is again very very important. If we are able to bring that emotional touch with all the children, I would say, because as you also mentioned, it is, I personally feel it is more of attitude that works for inclusivity. As Dr. Das also mentioned, there are probably schools where children in schools who are not as blessed as our children, with the kind of infrastructure we are able to give them. But when we talk about remote areas, there are still a lot of children who are left behind because of these reasons. But yet, if the attitude of the school management of the school and the environment is inclusive in terms of the attitude, I think a lot can be done from a single teacher's aspect. Also, an individual teacher can, if she can bring a change in one student's life by taking care of that emotional factor, by not letting that child feel that feel uncomfortable in a class where others are probably using a lot more of technology, so to say, and are able to express themselves. They are probably making PowerPoint presentations and presenting, but this probably there is one child who's not comfortable in doing that. What about the emotional feeling that child must be going through while we are having that activity online, or while we are having that task to be done by students in a virtual classroom? So when I talk about keeping in mind the socio emotional quotient of children, I think teachers and in fact students together can work on this and collaborate to have that team spirit, to not let anyone feel left out. I think that is very important. Where your we used to do it in school. We used to have our peer moderations and buddy system for children who face little challenges. Even virtually, I think if somebody is not very well versed with technology or not feeling confident enough to ask a question when in a virtual classroom, I think others need to be sensitized towards helping that person and probably getting back to that person over a phone call and say that it's okay, let me help you out, and reach out and not hesitant to seek help or give help in that way. I think that is very important. And when we are able to do this, I think that motivational level will automatically get enhanced. Children will feel more connected. When that emotional quotient is taken care, they will feel more connected and they will feel more motivated to stay online and listen to what the teacher is saying. I think that is very important.
Thank you, Miss Astha. Inclusion is not what you learn. It is actually the ability to apply what you've learned. And rightly said, having a more inclusive environment is going to help our children become more patient, more tolerant, more compassionate, and develop important life skills that are going to help them prosper into a better person. And rightly said, technology can be a barrier or it can be a facilitator. It depends on how you use it. So we would now like to hear from a parent, to understand, like we were talking about the importance of building social skills and emotional support. So Mrs. Sahani, we would like to know from you, what has been the biggest support for you in the current scenario, and how are you ensuring physical and mental well-being of everybody in the family, including Kushagra?
Yeah, ma'am. In the pandemic times, it is really difficult to manage and have a balance. But still, I'm trying my level best to be with him, to help out what best I can do for him. So the biggest benefit which we have now is the exemption which he got from the subjects. Like the mathematics had been exempted, and now he's loving what he's doing. He's learning tabla. He really enjoys it. Now he's doing computer applications. He's really doing well in that, and he even enjoys it. He's making presentations. He made presentations on his father's birthday. Today is his father's birthday, so he's made a very beautiful presentation for him to wish him birthday. Then last month it was his brother's birthday. He had made a very beautiful presentation for him also. So, along with the tight schedule, you may say with the online classes, yeah, it is at times monotonous also, sitting in front of the screen all the time, taking classes back to back. He gets tired also. I try my best to motivate him timely. I tell him, no, beta, you must attend the classes because it is essential for your learning. Along with that, we are maintaining a balance. He's learning tabla. I'm also enjoying his tabla. Computers he is enjoying. Along with that, other subjects are going on. So I like pandemic. We can say I won't say it has been very negative side. We can always look for a positive thing in the pandemic. We can say it's a glass half full, glass is half empty or half full. So I would conclude like that only. So with this, we have gained a lot of knowledge. We have become technically sound. We are learning many things with this pandemic. Although, yeah, it is tough at times. We don't know much of the computers, but even at times, he's helping me with computers. If I get stuck somewhere, he's there to help me out. Mama, I can help you in this. So both the ways, ma'am, we can say it has been a boon. So,
I think you're muted, Dr. Das.
Dr. Imanshu, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Again, a very difficult aspect to touch upon, because when you do a review of different countries and communities, some things have emerged as primary key indicators to actually overcoming the discrimination that we talk about, the biasing that we talk about. Let us look at what we are looking at from a school point of view. We are looking at producing, I'm giving you certain words, let's do an introspection on those words and see. We are looking at evolved human beings, we are looking at developed human beings, we are looking at learned human beings, we are looking at educated human beings, we are looking at skilled human beings, we are looking at qualified human beings. The moment we are able to understand the purpose of education, our focus instantly changes. Today, if you see India, you would say the last word that I uttered was the qualified human being would be the first one. Wherein if you look at certain communities which are actually non-biased, which are able to really sort of be an inclusive society, they would talk more on the part of evolved human beings and developed human beings. The moment the society looks at things from those perspectives, things changes. And the second very important thing is to get on all these things, the key elements we have missed. We have been talking always on capacity building of, say, peer groups. We have been talking about capacity building of parents. We have been talking about capacity building of siblings. Now, we have been talking about, if you talk in true sense, we have missed out these three things, and these three capacity building components can actually ensure rest of the elements of, you can say, discrimination or sort of sensitizing the society or reducing biasing. A lot of those things as part of regular routine activity or as part of advocacy or self-advocacy could be taken up. In this pandemic time, this has emerged as one of my very big research outcomes that we truly have not taken up empowering these three components, the peer component, the parents component, and the sibling component, because in my study, the empathy score, the competency score, the awareness score, and also the management score of children with special needs was found to be very, very low overall in parents, siblings, and peer groups. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful insight. That was really very knowledgeable and helps us take the road ahead. Next question for Shubha, ma'am. In this age of hyper competitiveness, what should parents do to help them manage failures?
Yeah, I think most parents sensitize their children or tell them how to deal with success, but how to deal with failures is something that we do not really pay much attention to till the child faces it as a sudden outcome. For parents, my first counsel would be to start saying no to children right from a very young age. That no can be a perfectly acceptable answer. A child who learns to hear a no knows that there could be challenges, there could be failures. It's just as it's just a possibility like a successful one. Secondly, it also helps them to deal with what has gone wrong, to look at things from a different perspective, how they can change, how they can improve. And today, I think caretakers, teachers, parents, both. I would not only talk about parents. They want their children to be the best. I would say they should teach their children to do their best. The efforts should not be spared. The outcomes are not in our hands. This sensitization is a very important aspect, and I think this way children learn. So, being role models is also very important for parents and teachers. They can talk about their failures, how they have emerged from it. And it's not that all the successful people have come up without facing failures. No. Media has a huge role to play in projecting that life is perfect. It's always having good things. So, communicating to the younger generation about the poor projection or the wrong projection of life is another important aspect. So I think we have a lot on our platter. The best thing is to be good role models ourselves. That way, children will learn that failure and making mistakes are milestones in life and not the end in itself.
Thank you, Shubha ma'am. That was very motivating and I think gives a very important message to everybody out there. I'll just take one more question. Miss Astha, the question is, how do we help the children with emotional needs during COVID-19 times?
I think emotional needs, it's for everyone. Require that emotional upliftment. As happiness is defined. I would take on from there. Happiness is a choice. So when we understand that it's a choice, we need to take that choice, we need to move towards it, and that can only happen when we talk to children and allow them to openly discuss their emotional needs. A lot of times children don't know how they are feeling. As a counselor, I have come across a lot of teenagers who say that I don't know, I just don't feel good. Now they don't understand what is making them feel that way or what they are actually feeling at times. So when they start talking, what we can do as adults, we can first put ourselves in their shoes and not tell them that okay, you don't have anything to say, that why you are feeling this way, so it's better not think too much and get back to work. Rather than understanding that this could be a phase wherein just by making them aware of their own feelings and help them analyze the reasons why they are feeling the way they are feeling, what is that is missing, and how we can probably help them reach out to get what they are missing in life. I think that is very important. So I think parents and teachers should give that space to children to express themselves emotionally more. We need not just ask them, how was your day or how did the class go, but how did you feel while you were attending the class, or how do you feel today. Today, how are you feeling? Not just how are you, but how are you feeling today? I think that is very important. And when we are able to shift that focus from how we are, what we are, to how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our life, I think that emotional needs we are able to meet those emotional needs for ourselves also, for our children also. For parents and teachers also, it is very, very important that we keep ourselves emotionally positive, uplifted, so that we are able to pass on to that. And it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone, not even for adults. We have our lows. But when children see us, as Shobha ma'am also said, that they need role models, and we are the role models. When they see us, that when my mother or me as a teacher, as their role model, if I can survive even in these tough times, they can too. And that is what I think keeps all of us going.
Thank you. Simply yet beautifully said, Astha ma'am. And I think that sends a very strong and an important message to everybody out there. I would like to take more questions, but because of paucity of time, it won't be possible. So, my regrets there. We would still try to send the questions to the panelists over mail. I would like to conclude this session now. In the words of Stephen R. Covey, strength lies in differences, not in similarities. Collaboration is the cornerstone of inclusive education. It is a process and not an end product of a series of interventions. Dialogue and self reflection within the school community will lead to a better understanding of the implementation process. Children with disabilities have the same need to belong as all children. However, contradictions arise owing to inadequate self reflection over attitudes and insufficient opportunity to collaborate among stakeholders, teachers, be it general teachers, special educators, parents, children, and administrators. So, respectful dialogue through a participatory engagement that helps to develop sensitized personnel, differentiated instructional strategies, modes of alternative communication, active involvement of parents and the community, and an administration committed to the advancement of inclusive education is critical. In the words of Andres Tapia, if diversity is the mix, inclusion is making the mix work. Opportunity is missed by most people because it looks like work. Inclusion is an opportunity. Don't let it go. I thank all the panelists. I think Vidushi takes over.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of DPS Rohini, I would like to thank Dr. Himanshu Das, Ms. Astha Mahajan, Ms. Sonal Sahani, and Ms. Shubha Chandrasekhar for gracing this webinar with their views and opinions. I must also mention our deep sense of appreciation for our student panelists S. Gayatri and Atish Sen Bhattacharya for their intriguing thoughts. We would also like to thank Dr. Jyoti Bajaj for moderating the webinar. Everyone is requested to fill the feedback form available in the YouTube chat and the Microsoft Teams chat as well. The second webinar begins at 11 a.m. We request you to join us by 10:55 a.m. for the same. Thank you.
Hello.